Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to talk about Beat Blast. And Beat Blast is one of the most unique roguelikes I think I have played recently. I've said time and time again that I always love when games combine roguelikes with any other genre, and Beat Blast manages to combine actual music making with a roguelike in a super fun way. And before we get into the game, I do just want to let you guys know that I was given a review copy of the game in order to make some videos for you guys. I never let that influence my reviews, I just like staying as transparent as possible. So Beat Blast is all about creating a looping beat on a kind of DJ board thing, and so you have 4 different types of notes: your yellow, green, blue, and pink notes. Each of these notes all sound different, and so your goal is to place the notes you find during your run in a way that not only sounds good, but also creates powerful attacks for you. And you're able to do that because each of the 4 different colored notes all correspond to different types of attacks. So a yellow note by itself is just an AoE explosion around you. The green note by itself is a really long range attack. The blue note is a super damaging attack, and the pink note is this tri-shot attack. And what's cool about this is you can also combine notes by placing them in the same column. So say you were to combine a green and pink note, you'll fire a tri-shot of super long range projectiles. If you were to combine the blue and yellow notes, you would get a super damaging projectile that explodes on impact. And if you combine them all, you'll just get this super powerful tri-shot that has the best of all of the notes combined. And as you progress in your run, you'll find more and more notes that you can add to your beat. So it's completely up to you what your strategy will be like. And you can change your beat at any moment, even mid-combat, if you think you can without getting hit. And also, in each run, you'll find different instruments for each note that you can toggle between. And the only purpose these instruments serve is to allow you to customize the way your beat sounds and make it just sound as good as you can. And I absolutely love that about this game, because the whole point is you're making these beats, so I love that you find these different instruments that you can freely switch between for each note. And I'm actually really glad that it doesn't change gameplay, because if it did, it would motivate you to focus on like damage output or whatever, but because all they do is change the way your beat sounds, it kind of just, fully promotes you to make as cool of a sounding beat as you possibly can. And the game revolves around you trying to kill enemies while dodging hundreds of projectiles. And you can only take a couple of hits before dying, so it's a bullet hell game that is super punishing in that regard. The enemies aren't super difficult, but the fact that you don't have much health kind of balances it to a good difficulty, I think. And as you progress through each room, you'll find passives that do different effects, like increase your damage, or give you a chance to spawn bombs that kill enemies, or increase your dash distance. And you do have a dash that you can use to make yourself invincible for a short while if you need to kind of like dodge out of the way or through projectiles. You can also find gear or equipment that you can have one equipped in each slot that can potentially drastically change your playstyle by doing some quirky things like turning all your projectiles into a sword that you swing in front of you, or something like all your bullets rotate around you and still firing forward. And the last huge thing that you will find are power notes, and these are abilities that attach to the first column in your beat, and they give you a crazy powerful attack at the start. These could be things like firing lasers, placing mines, shooting buzzsaws, creating century guns, and more. And I always tend to use 4 of my total notes, just making my power note ability crazy strong. I don't know if this is the correct meta play, but it makes it so much fun to just have these crazy powers and abilities at the start of your beat. And overall, you go from area to area, and it doesn't really matter what direction you go in, as there isn't really an exploration part to the game. No matter where you go, you're getting one closer to the boss. However, there are a couple of times where you get a choice of what type of room or reward that you're going to get in, the next kind of area that you go to. And normally I like exploration in roguelikes, but for this type of game, I'm kind of glad that you don't have to worry about it. Instead, the game puts way more focus on just trying to make a cool sounding beat by dropping you random instruments, and if I had to worry about exploring and making my beat sound good at the same time, I would probably prioritize the exploration a bit. It's really nice that you can kind of just have a relaxing and chill gameplay style, at least in terms of exploration, and that's also really helpful in terms of just putting a ton of focus on dodging the enemy projectiles. Each floor has its own unique themed enemies, elites, and bosses, and overall I love the designs of all the enemies in the game, though I do kind of wish that there was a bit more variety in this regard. Because each floor is distinct and they always happen in the same order, it kind of hurts the replayability a bit because you feel like you're always doing the same thing, and that might be because there's a lack of exploring randomly generated dungeons. There is a decent progression system of finding and earning out-of-game currency that allows you to unlock different passives, gear, power notes, equipment, and starting perks. It's not the most groundbreaking progression system I've ever experienced in a roguelike, but I think it does its job in giving you something to work towards and giving future playthroughs a bit of excitement as you can try out new items you unlocked. Another thing you start to unlock is different starting modifiers that can either make the game easier or harder or just different in, various aspects, so you can kind of customize the game how you want, but it's still in your best interest to keep the game hard in order to get a high score if that's what you're interested in. And normally I don't like stuff like this, but I'm not gonna lie, this game opened me up to the idea more in the future because it's kind of nice to be able to kind of make the game play how you would want it to, in your ideal roguelike, way. If you just want to focus on the game for the music aspect, you can make it stupid easy, and if you want to make it super challenging, you can do that as well. And I haven't beaten the game yet, but it's definitely something I'm working towards, so there may be some crazy stuff I haven't discovered, but overall I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the game. And I just have to touch on the presentation of the game a bit more. I can't describe how cool it is to play a game where your weapon is the beat that you're making, and when enemies fire, they're kind of harmonizing with your beat as well, in a really cool way, and the visuals are kind of soft and calming, but there's a lot of bright lights and stuff, and it gives the game a very distinctive style that fits it absolutely perfectly. I think that Beat Blast is truly one of the most unique roguelikes I have played recently, and I think it's something that any fan of the genre should absolutely try out, especially if you have an interest in music making or anything like that. It's definitely an experience you can't get from playing any other game that I know about. And if you want to see more about this game, I actually have an entire Let's Play series on it that you should definitely check out. And if you enjoyed this video, then consider subscribing and ringing that bell like all the big boy YouTubers say to be notified when more roguelike content like this comes out. And if you're going to be grinding out some awesome beats in Beat Blast, then I wish you guys luck and see you all next time.